How has our understanding of spectatorship been impacted due to the rise of digital technologies in a post-cinematic context? Digital technology in feature film has come a long way since its inception, but not only has there been changes in terms of how a film is made due to the advancements of said technology, but also how a film is viewed by spectators, particularly when it comes to who we identify with in a story's narrative. While talking about the opening scene in Pixar's first feature film, Toy Story, from 1995, directed by John Lasseter, Elsa Seren-Hagner state that there is a, quote, shift of agency from the human to the non or post-human. For this essay, I will be focusing on the theme of identification. I will mainly be focusing on the debates posed by Elsa Seren-Hagner, while also looking into the debates posed by Manovich and also Herhuth. Using and analysing the 2008 computer-animated sci-fi film WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton, and also the 1999 computer-animated comedy film Toy Story 2, also directed by John Lasseter, to put forward my own argument that films created by digital technology encourage us to identify more with non-human characters rather than with any of the human characters, by showing the lack of humanity we can have, and by installing that humanity into these non-human characters. In their book, Film Theory, An Introduction Through the Senses, Elsa Seren-Hagner talk about the impact digital technology has had on film, adding that the aesthetics of digital films have radically changed stylistically and technologically, but still hold on to the old school film spirit by, quote, clearly signalling that the same old stories are being told. Supporting this, in his book, Pixar and the Aesthetic Imagination, Animation, Storytelling, and Digital Culture, Herhuth writes, quote, the films finally produced by Pixar during the late 1990s and the early 2000s correlate with the studio's cultural and economic success in that they explicitly address dynamics of a new and old media. Spectators, including myself, prefer films that, amongst other features, have a character or a range of characters that we can identify with, due to their personality, motivations, and or their relatability, no matter how a film is created and who or what the main character is. However, this issue of whether or not digital technology is having a negative impact on cinema goes further than narrative reasons. In the book Post Cinema, Theorizing 21st Century Film, while talking about digital cinema, Manovich writes, quote, in a symposium that took place in Hollywood in the spring of 1996, one of the participants provocatively referred to movies as flatties and the human actors as organics and soft fuzzies, and, quote, what used to be cinema's defining characteristics have become just the default options. However, Elsa Seren-Hagner also target the question of what it means to be a human in a post-cinematic context, by stating that the abundance and accessibility of digital technology for us to watch and even carry around with us while attending to our desires and our way of life is also taking advantage of and taking control of us. This is shown to be very literal in the film WALL-E. The robot protagonist of the same name, voiced by Ben Burt, who has been cleaning planet Earth for around 700 years, is able to show more human traits and personality than most, if not all, of the humans on board the Axiom. WALL-E actively drives the story forward, whereas the humans remain very passive within the story. Even the captain, voiced by Jeff Garlin, acts in the same manner up until the final act. Technology is seen to be evil within WALL-E, taking control of humans by attending to their needs every moment they require them, echoing similar parallels to real life. We all own some amount of technology and can be easily engrossed with its features that make living somewhat luxurious. The shift of agency between the human and non-human characters mentioned by Elsa Seren-Hagner continues to be explored within WALL-E. Spectators are mainly following WALL-E and Eve, voiced by Alicia Knight, and for every brief moment we look onto any of the human characters, it isn't long before we are brought back to the perspective of the non-human characters. And even then, there are only a handful of scenes within the film where we are looking through the perspective of a human on their own, without any non-human character being present at that time. Similarly, in Toy Story 2, humans are shown in a very unappealing way in comparison to the non-human characters. The only human characters spectators are shown the perspective of and given the opportunity to identify with for the longest amount of the film's runtime is Al the Toy Collector, voiced by Wayne Knight. Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, Jessie the Yodeling Cowgirl, voiced by Joan Cusack, and Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Tim Allen, are the main perspectives that we as spectators follow in the story. We are given more time with them to identify with their own motivations and personalities, and like the original film, as mentioned by Alsacer and Hagner, the allegory for digital technology still valuing and imitating analog film while being stylistically and technologically different in terms of its aesthetics remains present as well, giving the spectator more and more reason to identify with the non-human characters. In conclusion, both in WALL-E and Toy Story 2, the human characters for the most part are portrayed in either one of two ways. Either they are seen as passive and subordinate, or they are one-dimensional in their portrayal, while the non-human characters are seen to have personality, goals, and other human-like traits. I believe that because these two films were created using digital technology, the films therefore put more of their character development into the digital or non-human characters. To answer the question of how digital technology has impacted our understanding of spectatorship and what it means to be a human in a post-cinematic context, we need not look further than these two films to see that while the films, and many alike, look and sound different in comparison to celluloid films, and while the characters we follow are not human in nature, they still hold on to old ways of storytelling. But we are also reminded of what it means to be human by seeing what the alternative is for us if we are around non-human or digital entities.